Yes, brother.
I am Dr. Dinesh. I am studying in Kilpauk Medical College. Uh, Islam allows polygamy. I heard that Islam allows polygamy. I mean to say multiple marriages. If this is so, is it not a sinful practice against humanity, like deceiving a woman?
Okay, brother. By the way, thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate you being here with us today and appreciate your question as well. And that's what I invite people to do. When our non-Muslim friends come in, they also have their own questions, and we welcome them asking these questions. And here's what's going on. Islam does allow for polygamy. And polygamy is the practice where a man is allowed to have more than one wife. It is allowed. It's not necessarily something that is recommended all the time or an obligation. For a Muslim is allowed to have more than one wife. And this is such a big problem. Some people, they see it and they say that they just cannot understand it, like the brother here is saying. Let me give you a practical situation where I come from in the US. You know, in the US there are different ethnicities and there are different minorities. Of these ethnicities, there are the African Americans. And these are the black people in the US that were brought in as slaves from America to begin with, being living under slavery for a very long time. We have a social problem within the African American segment in that society. What is that problem? At any given day, pay attention to this one please. At any given day, one of every 3 African American males between the ages of 18 and 35 is in prison. One of every African American males between the ages of 18 and 35 is in the military. Now remember, these are people who have been living under slavery for such a long time. They have not had the time or the opportunity for them to come back to, to join society, and has not been facilitated for them as it should have been. What's happening at this point is that the number of African American women is by far exceeding the number of African men. They're either in prison or they are in the military. It has gotten so bad that in some areas, for every one eligible man, there are 8 unmarried women in that community. They refer to this in sociology as sex ratio. The number of men for every 100 eligible women for marriage. And most of the time, in humanity, we have what we call low sex ratio, meaning that the number, or high sex ratio, meaning that the number of women exceeds the number of men all the time. So now African American sociologists, they got together and they said, we have a social problem. What do we do? Obviously, marrying from other minorities is not an option. What do we do? And here's what they came up with. They came up with 3 solutions. They said, look, we live in a capitalistic country. In capitalism, it is about competition. You compete. You win yourself a man, good for you. You do not win a man, tough luck. That's it. End of the story. The other solution was, what we need to do is that we need to redefine what we mean by relationships. And they said, therefore, a woman would have to have a mate for intellectual stimulation. She has to have a mate to drink coffee with, another mate to study with, another mate to socialize with, and somebody else to fill and satisfy her sexual passion. So what they said is that she has got to become a part of so many people. Another group of African American sociologists, they said, wait a minute. From the origins that we come from, our community has been known to be polygamist. What we say is this: I agree with you. There is some sort of evil in this process. However, I am ready to accept any lesser evil that you can provide for this problem. A woman wants to be a mother. Why is she deprived from this? A woman has just lost her husband. Not that a woman cannot live on her own or support herself by her own, but why does she have to suffer the result of losing a companion? So Islam says that there is a solution. It may not be a solution that is favored by all, however, it is a very, very practical solution that is very humane. Instead of a woman being used and abused as a mistress, where he comes at different parts of the night, not wanting to know what he is doing with her. She cannot take pride in being a wife of this man where she is part of his life. Islam says that is not the case. Because you are doing her a favor by satisfying her passion, it does not mean that you dehumanize her. And as a result, Islam has suggested the concept of polygamy. But I will give you a challenge. Bring a better solution and I will follow it. Okay. But Jazakallah, thank you very much for your question.